Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today on Cookiecast, the lady herself is back. She's back with a vengeance. She's bringing you all the latest news from the world of movies, TV, games, maybe, exercise, that sort of thing. That all sounds quite likely to me. I imagine that's what she talks about. YouTube watchers, there's a video for this one, so you got something to watch. If you're not checking us out on YouTube, I mean, where did your life go wrong? Seriously. Now, while you're at the YouTubes, you could click that little subscribe button and do the channel a big favour, and we would love you forever and ever and ever. Think about that. Anyway, let's crack on. Here we go, this is Cookiecast, up Liante.
Hello, podcast people. Let me get up and running. Let's not have my crotch on display right in front of the camera. Okay, camera is rolling. Audio is rolling. I am in position talking to the microphone. I feel like I'm having to turn though, so bear with while I move the microphone. Okay, ready to roll. Hey, nice to see you all again. So, here we are. It's 12 bajillion degrees in this room, so I'm going to keep it as short as possible. I actually don't have a lot to report on this week, which is disappointing, to say the least. You'll be disappointed, I'm disappointed, everybody is. But I'm not sure what to say. I have been slacking increasingly so week on week, and this week is no different. So, let's rewind a little bit. Let's rewind and look. Check out my t-shirt. This is a very fine Cookiecast branded t-shirt. In fact, the t-shirt isn't branded Cookiecast, so it is a Cookiecast printed t-shirt. If you want to be a lucky owner of one of these t-shirts, let us know. Comment below. We can get these printed. If you want one, we need to know that. So I am currently modelling mine. I believe this is medium. It might be large. No, I think it's probably large. Wishing it was medium, but no, I think we're on large here. So yes, check it out. I should have worn this on the last podcast because we did have them, but I forgot. I think a couple of days had passed between them arriving and then doing the podcast, and it completely went out of my mind. We have some other podcast alum who are also current lucky owners of these t-shirts. The batch arrived here and we put them in the post to various locations, so you may see some other podcast alum wearing these on upcoming podcasts. Not all of them. So yeah, check them out. Right, I've got my list. My list is not in my normal sort of order of put into categories of what's been going on. It is currently just in its diary format, so what I did last Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. So it'll be a bit of a higgledy-pig podcast. So the next thing on my list, so first of all, podcast number 11, forgot that bit. And then it says wear t-shirt, tick. Next, weight. The reason I've written this in capital letters with an exclamation mark is because I've realised after finishing the last two podcasts that I have forgotten to update you on my weight journey. I'm not going to say weight loss journey for a reason. So both the last two podcasts have ended and I thought, shit, I didn't tell you how I was getting on with my weight. And I think the first week that I said I was going to be checking in on my weight and holding myself accountable on this podcast, and basically if you don't hear anything then that's probably not good news. That wasn't actually quite the case. I just forgot to report back on how I was getting on. So I think, when I last actually checked in, I was around the 14 stone 3 mark. I think over the next week, I'd managed to get down to just around 14 stone 1. So there's still progress. and then the week after that, I think I was 14 stone 0.8, and then the week after I dropped 0.2 of a pound, so I was 14 stone 0.6 pounds, which was still, it was good, moving in the right direction. But then I had an absolute shocker of a week with food, and well, just a shocking week, which made me want to eat an awful lot. I have a bad relationship with food when things aren't going so well, not feeling great, and it just makes me want to eat. And that was this last week, so I'm now back at 14 stone 3. So I've unravelled sort of 2 weeks worth of effort in a single go, really. It is so annoying how easy it is to put weight back on compared to how hard it is to lose it. But it is what it is, and I know where I've gone wrong, and I know what to do to remedy it, but it's just needing to stick to that. So the weight loss journey continues. I've not helped myself in this last week because I've not been running since the last podcast. I went last Tuesday morning, so I've not been running since then, and even Joe Wicks has fallen by the wayside. The mornings that I would normally do my PE with Joe, I've had things on, so I've been quite social over this last week, actually. So I went for a walk with my mum last Thursday morning when I'd have normally been doing PE with Joe. It was absolutely tanking it down. I think it was due to get worse as the day progressed, and thought if we don't go out and sort of stretch our legs in the morning, then the weather's going to get even worse. But we got soaked through. But it was in order to fit around the baby sleeping and eating time. We went at the time I'd normally be doing PE with Joe. So that was that day out of the question, and then I've been trying to do a Saturday morning, but we were actually, what happened Saturday? My dad came over to see us. The weather was decent, so my dad came over and we sat round in the park and had our coffee in the park. So he called over, so that it was sort of like it was Father's Day on Sunday, so it was our opportunity to have some time together. So that was another day of PE with Joe out the window. And then I don't normally do Mondays anymore because I'm working. I would normally do a Tuesday morning, so I should have done this morning, but we had to take one of the cars to the garage for a service. I had to drop that off, and rather than us take both cars in order to get back home, I decided to walk back. So that was the time that I would normally be doing PE with Joe on a Tuesday. So there are sort of legitimate reasons as to why PE with Joe has fallen by the wayside, but it doesn't help the weight loss journey when I've been eating particularly badly as well. Having said that, the bad week of eating kind of culminated in the weekend. I felt it necessary to buy a cake. I was walking past the local shop on a walk on Saturday afternoon, Cookie and I, and not only did the shop have a deal on, it's an Nisa, but they sell co-op food, I think, is the situation, and there was a deal on, and it cost a mere £5 to buy a large pizza, well, a normal pizza. You got 2 garlic breads, you got a bag of potato wedges, a box of like little popcorn chicken, and a box of 4 Magnums, and it was a £5. So we're walking past the shop, we'd had a long walk, and it was like, that's a bit too good to be true. Usually my cheat meal for the week is a pizza, so it was like, I'm going to pick those things up, which I did. And we also happened to notice that a restaurant that had only opened back on the 10th of March, they were saying, so they were only open 2 weeks prior to the lockdown coming into effect, which was kind of sad, but they'd reopened, they had their front doors open, and then they had an ice cream freezer, like a gelato freezer, and they were selling gelato as takeaway. So not only did we pick up this bargain meal deal, we also got takeaway gelato for the short walk home, which is actually very, very tasty. The place, if you are local, is I think it's called Chutney, Chutni, and I'm kind of presuming that they are Italian, given that they were selling gelato, but I don't know that for sure. Didn't actually think to check out what they had on the menu because they weren't serving at the time, so we just got the gelato. Very, very good. A little bit on the pricey side, but as you would expect, you got 2 scoops in I always have a tub. I don't really do cones when it comes to ice cream unless you're at the beach and that's your only option. I would always prefer a cup because the cone doesn't do anything for me. I had salted caramel and pear, not together, they were my 2 separate flavours. Cookie had salted caramel and Oreo. They were both of mine were very tasty. I wouldn't have the pear again because there wasn't a huge amount of flavour, but yes, thoroughly recommend this place for their gelato. So I think they were just making a sort of an attempt to be able to serve something. They were doing takeaway coffee as well, which we didn't sample at the time. It was scorchio on Saturday afternoon. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Was I just sort of saying my weekend of eating culminated there? And there was also a cake that I bought whilst I was at the shop. I decided that we needed a cake, so that was a salted caramel cake. So yeah, that was that. What was my point? Did I have one? I don't know. I'll go back to my list. I've been quite social. Been seeing various people, my mum, my dad. So I saw my dad twice last week. Once on Tuesday, once on Saturday morning. Went for a walk with my mum on Thursday morning. Yesterday morning I saw my stepdad for the first time, probably a month. We went for a walk, and then today I've been for a walk with my baby friends, or baby mama friends. And we've been doing the same walks actually around the university, past the lake, checking out the local swan that's nesting. It's getting to the point where I'm not sure that her nest of eggs are any good because she's been there for a while and there's no sign of them hatching. When I walked past yesterday with my stepdad, we actually saw the swan stood up and she was turning her eggs over, and it didn't look great in terms of colour. So I'm not sure whether she's got any babies in there or not, which is a bit sad because we've seen her on that nest for probably 6 weeks over the lockdown, maybe a little bit longer. So fingers crossed they're still going to hatch, but I don't know, it's not looking promising at this point. I've also had a couple of group calls. I had a group call with my friends on Wednesday evening. That was just a bit of a check-in, but we came off of that call. We've all been catching up. I started watching some TV and then I just got a migraine as if from nowhere. I just had an arc of it looked like a kaleidoscope, one of those things you look through as a child where there's all the fragmented vision. I think they say that's like compares to how bees see, is that right? But I had it arcing sort of in from the top over my eye, and it was there for a while. It wasn't bothering me hugely. I was able to keep watching TV, but it got to a point where I was starting to feel a bit sicky, and then the pain came, and I had to go to bed and lay down and try to go to sleep. I needed to have a pillow rested on my head because it was just the inner thump of the headache was just overwhelming, and you feel like it's actually thumping out of your head, so you need something soft resting on it to help control it. But I had a terrible night's sleep, kept waking up, still had the headache. So the walk I went with my mum on Thursday morning was sort of like I needed to get the fresh air, needed to try and, I don't know, just shake myself back to life because it just really seemed to have knocked all the energy out of me. I was just a bit of a zombie on Thursday. It completely shook me. But then I've also had a group call on Saturday night with our football group of friends. So we played Cards Against Humanity. I haven't played that in a number of weeks because the last couple of times we've been checking in, we've played Psych, which I've talked about before. But we went back to Cards Against Humanity, and it's just, I've said this time and time before, but if you want a guaranteed laugh with your friends, and your sense of humour has to be on the darker side of the spectrum in order to find humour in some of this, but it was just laughter all evening. So we played that for a couple of hours until the point that Sky sort of needs to drop off the call because she's 3 hours ahead of us. So I think it was sort of probably 9:30 here. So she stayed with until midnight her time and dropped off the call. And then we had a bit of a chat with Mike and Haz. Bad time for Mike apparently, and sort of he only let on at that point. So we'd had this few hours of having a good laugh and sort of evening's entertainment, and then he dropped some bad news that he'd had going on over the week, so it sort of gave us the feels, felt bad that we were just carrying on as if everything's normal, and just goes to show you don't know what other people are going through. They may put a front on the outside, but they've got shit going on. So shout out to you, Mike, for what you're going through at the moment. A shout out to everybody actually, because we had such a good fun, as we always do. So here's to the next time. What else can I jump about to on my list? I think probably the other thing I really need to talk about is the game. So I've been playing Zelda Breath of the Wild. What else have I got on here? My TV shows. Sorry, I'm distracted. My game. So let me jump back to the car service. So dropped the car off for the service this morning, walked home. I don't know how far that is, might be about 2 miles. In fact, I checked on my steps before and it said I'd done 12,000 steps today, and it was about 5 point something miles. I know the walk that I did with a baby mama friends this afternoon is about 3 miles. So let's say it's 2 miles from the garage back home. Left the car there this morning. They called around lunchtime to say, let me just have a drink, sorry, I'm holding this. Glug glug. They called to say they couldn't find the wheel nut key. To the best of my knowledge, it would have been in the glove box, but they couldn't find it. So spoke to them and then came off the phone, and we were looking for the service book and the paperwork from when we bought the car back in last July. Managed to find that quite easily, and it said there was a whole tick-list sheet of information, and it said that the wheel nut key should be in the boot. So I called the garage back, told them this, and they said they'd been through everything and couldn't find it at all, which meant that they couldn't do the service properly. So they've been able to sort of do the best they can to check the tyres and the brake pads without being able to take the wheels off. They called later this afternoon to let us know that the car was ready, but there was a few advisory things that they needed to talk through. So we've gone back there this evening to collect the car, and the list of advisories was ridiculous. From what they can tell, the brake pads are corroded. The front wheels only had 3 to 4 mils left on them, but the sides of the wheels were really bad. So I guess he's suggesting the tyres probably need replacing at some point. The rear windscreen wiper needs replacing. We have we have no spare tyre, and the pump canister thing that you spray if you get a flat tyre, you spray into it and it fills and reseals it. There was none of that left in the canister. The battery needs replacing because that's down to 1% power, so at any point in time that could not start. What were the other things? Brake fluid needs changing, tracking needs resetting. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 other things on the list. So we're looking at £500 worth of work that needs doing. We've just paid 150 quid for the service to be done to then take the car away. Aircon was one of the other things. It was like 100 quid to sort out. So yeah, the car needs another 500 quid's worth of work putting into it, and some of those things are more urgent than the others. Certainly things like the battery, I'm guessing, is more urgent. but none of this stuff can really be done until we acquire a wheel nut key. So we need to get in contact with the Citroen garage in York and see if they can. Do they sell us one? I'm guessing it's not a loan, so we need to see if we can get hold of them in order to get the key to be able to take the car back to the garage to have the work completed fully. It was also due its MOT, but following the new government guidelines, the changes to the MOTs, we've got an extra 6 months on that, so that's not actually due until December now. But I think what we'll do is we'll try to work out what work is urgent that needs doing on the car, seeing if we can pay that, get it through its MOT within the next couple of months, because the garage were very much sort of, everybody's got this 6 months extension on the MOTs, but don't leave it that long because garages will just be ridiculously busy. So probably try to get that done in the next couple of months, but it's not money we had sat there ready. We're going to have to work out how to try and pay for the urgent stuff now and then fit the rest in over time, which is quite annoying. I've then got the Mazda in for that service. I think that's next Tuesday, so a week today. That one's due in, and that one, well, that shouldn't need an awful lot doing. It's not even due its first MOT yet, but the service itself is 250 quid or something. So that's even more money that I hadn't been considering whilst thinking about needing to pay for the Citroen's work. I need to think about that later. How are we going to manage all this? Okay, so I've gone back to the car service. Then we jump around again. So I haven't watched any films. TV that I've been watching, watched my next episode of The Challenge. That was good. Poor Bear. He's been knocked off the show. Bear is famous for a number of annoying reasons. But he's been kicked off. I kind of like Bear, even though he's incredibly annoying. I don't know what Bear is famous for, where he originally came from. I've seen him on shows like X on the Beach, and pretty sure, yeah, he was in the last series of The Challenge I watched last year as well. I don't know how he arose to fame, but he's sort of been in relationships with the likes of Charlotte Crosby and can't think of her name, Gemma Lucy, are the ones that spring to mind. Anyway, he got kicked off, and then when I looked at when the next episode was available, usually it would say tonight at midnight or something, but it said the next one is not available until the 24th of July, so we're looking at nearly 6 weeks time, 5 weeks say, until the next one's available. Now I don't know, I thought maybe it had only been recording currently, just prior to lockdown happening, and maybe they'd shown the ones that they had available and they've had to take a filming pause whilst coronavirus has been a situation, but I'm not sure that's the case because it seems to suggest that this was filmed last October, so I'm not sure what the pause is for or why it's taking so long to get the next episode out. I tried googling but I couldn't find it, so I guess I'll have to put that one on the back burner and I'll probably forget that I was even watching it. I've also been continuing to watch Are You the One? I finished the first series, I've moved on to series 2. It's just like, it's kind of addictive, keep watching that. Same principle, just another new series and new contestants. I've also had a message from Haz in the week asking if I'd been watching Below Deck. This is a Netflix show. Sort of perfect example of mine and Haz's TV taste, but I hadn't been watching it. I had added it to my list to watch in the future, but as soon as she sent me the message I was like, I'll see what the first episode's like. So I've started watching that, and it's a reality show based on the workers, like yacht workers, out, I can't even remember where it's based, some hot sort of oceans. You've got a group of people working below deck to keep the running of a yacht that serves the rich, I guess, people that hire yachts, and these are the workers on the yacht that actually serve them their food, sort of giving them their entertainment, keep them, I don't know, guided around the locations they're visiting whilst travelling on the yacht. So it feels sort of behind the scenes of what actually goes on. I guess they take these jobs because they get paid fairly well, whilst also being able to party a little bit. Very much sort of thing that I would normally watch. I just felt like, I don't know, I've only watched one episode, so I don't know which direction it's going to take, but it just showed a lot of partying and sort of almost incestuous relationships between the workers and stuff, and that's bound to happen when you're in close quarters, and I guess they're living on these yachts, I don't know, weeks on end. So we'll see where that goes, where that show goes. It's the sort of thing I watch just before I'm going to bed, just on the Kindle, so they're the ones that I don't get round to watching very often. But that's out there of things I've watched. I haven't tuned into anything what I consider a proper programme over this last week. I need something to replace Gangs of London and The Mandalorian, but I just haven't got around to tuning into something proper. I've just been watching my trash TV over this last week. I think because I was feeling rubbish at various sort of points in time, I've not been giving proper TV its due focus. And like I say, if there's been no films either, I don't feel like I've been able to concentrate on watching a film. Also, I'm not sure what's next on my list of films to watch. Having watched The Nun and Slender Man, which I saw were available on Sky, I maybe need to do a bit of a recce and see what I can line up next to watch. I'll do that for the next podcast so that I know what I'm trying to fit in. I can't just say, right, I'm going to watch a film if I don't know what the next film is. So yes, I need to dig something out on that. What shall I jump back to? So I saw my dad last Tuesday. I went over to him and then he came over here on Saturday. I had a small gift for him for Father's Day. I bought him a lighter for Christmas and had it inscribed from the baby. And one second. I had it inscribed from the baby for him, and unfortunately it had gone missing during the lockdown. He's not sure where it went, so he told me that he was really sad that it had been lost, and I was like, right, okay, it's almost Father's Day, I will see about getting him a replacement. So I ordered him a replacement a couple of weeks ago. It hadn't arrived. Not sure if I said this on last week's podcast. Hadn't arrived. Contacted the seller and they did me a replacement. Kind of said that wasn't necessary, I'd wait to see if it turned up, but they were like, no, it's taken too long, so I'll get you another one out in the post, which they did. I now have 2 lighters. Actually, I've already given him one, and then the other one turned up, so I've got another lighter to give him. They're both inscribed with exactly the same message, but he was over the moon to have a replacement, and said that he can keep them safe now and keep one near his computer and have one in his pocket. So that was his Father's Day gift, just a little message from the baby and I on this replacement. I think I'm wrapping things up now. So I'll just touch on Zelda. I've been playing it every couple of days, if not more. I'm now in an area where I'm approaching the next animal monster, which is called Divine Beasts. I thought, must check what they're actually referred to. So I'm on to the next Divine Beast, which appears to be a camel. So I'm in a desert town. I think it's called Garuda or something like that. And the creature is there. It's got lightning fuzzing around it. It seems like it's going to be a tricky one to battle, but I just need to get onto the actual mission that makes me encounter it. So at the moment I'm having to prove myself to a female chief that runs this town next to where the monster is, and I have to find something, some headpiece I think that has been stolen by thieves. I need to go and retrieve it to prove myself to her, so that she can then send me on the mission directly to deal with this Divine Beast. So I'm there, I'm in the area, I'm just sort of plodding through. It's been an interesting week playing it. Some of the missions I was doing, some of the shrines been incredibly annoying, but I've persevered and I've got through it, and I enjoy playing it. So I will keep at it. I'll keep plugging away. I managed to increase my life force by 3 heart containers. So I'd done something like, I think I had 13 orbs, so I've been through 13 shrines. And for every 4 orbs you can exchange those for a heart container. You can only do this though at specific goddess statues, and there just happened to be one at the town that I'm at, this Garuda, if that's what it's called, and there's a goddess statue there, so I was able to exchange my orbs and get another 3 heart containers. So I think I've now got, I had 9, so I've got 12 hearts, and Cookie had looked something up for me the other day. I think I need 13 heart containers in order to retrieve the sword, the legendary sword from the Lost Forest. So I just need to tackle another 4 shrines to get 4 orbs, exchange those for another heart container, and then I can go back and retrieve this sword. Not sure what happens at that point, but I guess I'll be, I don't know, stronger is the minimum. I don't know if this sword verifies me as Link, as the person from 100 years ago, the hero from 100 years ago. I don't know, I should probably know what I'm talking about when I'm trying to relay these stories, but it wouldn't be one of my podcasts if I wasn't rambling along. So yeah, that's a quick wrap up on where I'm at with Zelda. I will keep plugging away. I'll try and play some tonight and see where I get to. So I'm just doing a quick scan through, checking that I've covered everything that was on my list. I have. So yeah, that's it then, I guess. Podcast over. I will be pleased to get out of this room, that's for sure, because it's very warm. I guess I should commit to trying to do some more running, or at least some form of exercise. The research into the treadmill continued a little bit the other evening, but given the lockdown, treadmills seem to be out of stock everywhere, so the one that I was sort of interested in, or the one that my research has pointed us towards, they're not in stock, so need to keep an eye on that, I guess. Hopefully they'll come back into stock with the lockdown restrictions being eased. It's not like people haven't been able to run outside, so don't know why they've gone crazy, unless it's all people that have been shielding, that have been wanting to get on the treadmills. But hopefully we can consider getting hold of one. Not sure how to manage that with the car work that he's doing, but that's a problem for a different day, certainly for me to think about rather than you guys. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. Do let us know if you're interested in the Cookiecast logo t-shirts. There we go, you can see the logo in all its glory. Comment below, send us a message, whatever you need to do. Yeah, that's that. I guess I will sign off there, and I'll see you again soon. Alright, take care people, bye bye.
So there we go. What do you think of that? Good? Good. Cool. YouTube watchers, do make sure you're subscribing. It means a lot to us. It's just a little click of a little button. Also click for notifications, then you get notified of new content. So that's cool, isn't it? Everybody jump over to the cookiecast.com. Check us out over there. You'll find links for social media, and there's a little button. You click it, send us an email, and I'll read it out on the podcast if you send us one. So, there's that. So that's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye.